It is time to expand minds through movies, TV, sports, and flicks. It is time to boldly go where no podcast has gone before. It is time for the Captain Talks Flicks.
The Captain Talk Flicks.
Welcome to the Captain Talks Flicks podcast. I'm your host, the Captain Cortez, and Kim is to love, and this is where we talk flicks. And ladies and gentlemen, this past week, I went back to the world of espionage, cloak and dagger, spy over spy. I went back to the TV show called CIA. Yeah, I saw the show. And let me get into that first couple things. I want to give a big shout out to Vietnam. Got to play some Vietnam this past week. Gracias, gratitude, todo va. Now, I know quite a few people that have a Vietnamese background. I actually know people that actually emigrated from over there. These are some of the coolest human beings I've ever met in my life. They're just fantastic people. I tell them every time I see them. Shout out to my friends of Vietnamese heritage. Great people. Love you guys. And so Vietnam, I appreciate you listening. And additionally, this episode is brought to you by the album called Still Well Fed. Now, if you didn't know, Sun Tzu Cosmic and Renalian recorded a album called Well Fed last summer. It's 4 tracks about food. Now, they followed up with 4 more tracks called Still Well Fed that's about more food. So yeah, if you want to hear an album about food with unique raps from Sun Tzu Cosmic and Renalian, something you've never heard in your life, I will put it below. Check it out. Now, let's get on the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, I went back to CIA. I saw the CIA on CBS. CIA and CBS. Yeah, I saw the TV show. And once again, an outstanding episode. This week we saw some North Korean people in the New York area playing some sports. A few tried to defect, and there was this long rabbit hole story that went on addressing, South Korean intelligence, North Korea, and the State Department, the CIA, and FBI. All the international stuff that I love that you would expect Bill and Colin to get into. Also, there were some guest stars from the FBI show also. So great episode. Loved it. Now, what I want to do is get into a few things from the show that I thought were cool and go ahead and expand upon them. And it's got to do with, just spying in general. Now, first, I'm going to start off with this. Over the last few episodes, we got to see how deeply Colin cares for his assets, his peeps, right? So, anytime he has any kind of asset that helped him out in his world of spying, he really wants to protect the asset a lot. He goes hard for the assets. So hard, like he's very, very deeply concerned about his people. The show makes it seem like he has no heart and he's heartless, but his people he cares for deeply if you're really in his circle, whatever, right? We see that. About the assets, about his partner, his partner in the past, right? He goes deep, he just supports them so hardcore when, you're his people. So what is something I want to say about that is that I've read a lot of books and I've heard a lot of podcasts. And they talk about how, any asset that they have under their guidance or whatever word you want to use, is they really, really go hardcore for them, right? Because over time, you develop a relationship, right? So if you have an asset in some foreign country and you're the case officer, you meet up periodically, you communicate periodically, develop some kind of rapport over time, you talk regularly. So there's no way you can't somehow develop some kind of, caring for the human unless you're a really cold, heartless human being. And so a lot of the stories and a lot of the podcasts and the books and movies I've seen and the TV show as well, they just showcase that, the case officer will, go to bat or, will fight for that asset hardcore. You may see the media now, people that are not from the land of America. And you may think that we don't really care or support about some of these foreign lands. And I would understand why you think that. The media might portray that in some way. And to be clear, there's certain elements of society that might maybe position themselves in that kind of thought process. But I'm still hearing from the guys on the ground, from these resources that I listen to, these that are publicly available, anyone can find these things, that they still are supportive and go hard for their assets, for their peeps. Because they're asking a human from another land to betray that land. That's pretty much what it is. The whole game, which I talked about before, of spying, in general, is asking a human to betray someone that they're with, supporting, and to tell someone else or give someone access to information, right? To betray their trust. I mean, that's what they're asking. So they're taking a big gamble, a big risk. And in some of these regimes overseas, I mean, it can end in death. If you've given up the goods against your peeps, I mean, they will, take you off the board, for lack of a better term. And so, us as Americans, they ask you guys overseas to do these things. I was listening to some podcasts and read some books and articles, whatever. They say because of the current landscape politically that we have in America, that it might deter humans from overseas, other countries, from wanting to work with us, in that particular capacity. We're talking like, case officer asset relationship, because of what they're seeing on the screen. But like I said, I mean, I have heard from numerous sources over the last, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. Despite all that, these case officers still go hard for their assets, right? So if you think about joining a team, I'm just saying, you want to join America, I mean, we still good, we still okay. I'm here. But in all seriousness, I mean, we still America, bro. We still cool. We still awesome, bro. Straight up. Share your secrets with us. Come on. I won't tell nobody. Switching gears. One just thing I want to address too is that this whole game of, cloak and dagger and spying, right? Okay, there's a lot of running around, a lot of pulling guns, a lot of that happens, car chases, right in the TV. Yeah, that's what happens. But when it comes down to it, it's words and language, right? Now you see in the scene with Billy, Billy, you saw his colleague from college, he's Billy. Billy gets in the interrogation room and he's talking to the gentleman and he fibs, he misleads in order to get the information he wants. Now in that room, there's no fighting, it's just language being spoken to the whatever you say, culprit or whatever they use that. It's just words being spoken. It's a battle of words. It's a language, right? I'm going to get you to tell me something by talking to you. I'm going to talk to you in a certain way and say certain things, have certain, elevation of voice and whatever to get you to tell me something. That's all it is. That's all that's going on. And also, we're talking about the CIA case officers. They want to get someone to spy for us and turn the country. They have to convince them with their words, language, right? They talk to them. They pitch them, they throw pitches, you try to convince them to do that. It's pretty much like sales. It's like getting someone to buy a car. Not quite, but you know what I'm saying. And just in modern society in general, talking well will serve you well. Convincing people to do stuff, not just, turn on the country, not just tell you where the whatever's at, but just in general, to get someone to see your side or do something that you want, buying cars or haggling at the saloon or the thrift store or whatever, right? This kind of dynamic of being good with your words, a wizard of words, like to say, a warrior of words, like they say in Star Trek, Starfleet Academy, is powerful. And these case officers and FBI guys use it all the time. In fact, any high-level job where the level's high, where you might see weaponry, it's all good. But to quote The Art of War by Sun Tzu, the greatest victory, I'm paraphrasing here, is to win without even fighting, right? That's it. Win without even fighting. Just talking, right? That's the greatest victory. It's something like that, but it's something to win without fighting is the greatest victory, right? And so being good with the words, being able to talk will get you many places. And to get somebody to turn on their country to join America, bro, America! But just real quick, also they had South Korean intelligence in there, and there's a whole thing with that, which I'm not going to get into. They had to liaison. You saw a little bit of how that might be done. Obviously, they're impelled for TV, but I'm sure there's some truth to that, right? Very cool show, very dope show. Kind of reminds me of FBI International if it was set in America. I mean, both international, you know what I'm saying? They got the foreign partners, the State Department. I love all that. Now, as someone that's been studying this for years, I love the international foreign aspect of it. I don't find the domestic stuff as interesting personally. There's nothing wrong with it. I just don't find it as interesting. I like the foreign intrigue and traveling overseas and partnering with Europe and the Middle East. It's fascinating. If I had to do it all over again, I might try to somehow get into that world somehow. I don't know. But anyways, phenomenal show, great. And one last thing, like I said in the podcast, words are powerful. Language. How do you use them? How do you talk? This will get you far. Work on your communication skills. I believe it's a strong thing to have, and it would serve you well in your life. Start reading dictionaries. Watch C-SPAN. Listen to my podcast. Study, practice, and mirror. I promise you, if you work on your communication skills, your life will improve. It's not guaranteed, but a high possibility. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining me. I appreciate you guys. And until next time, we'll We'll see you. Learn and think imperially. Joseph Chamberlain. Till next time, it's Captain Peace.
The Captain Talks.